the most important people in the room, our honored guests, we want to say a special thank you for coming down today and allowing us to say a thank you to you. Everyone knows the purpose of the Hall of Fame luncheon is to recognize outstanding individuals who have proven that wrestling is more than just a sport to them, it's a way of life. As your president, it's my honor to present some special people that work very hard besides all of us that are looking at each other in the room. I'd like to point out 3 interpreters up front, Mr. Ray Anthony, Mr. Dick Lowenstein, and of course, Mr. Jim Greenland, your DOD. Show them some appreciation. I'd like to introduce your officer team to the OWOA. First off would be our treasurer over here, Mr. Carpenter. Where's Mr. D-Tech? Our secretary must be out looking for minutes. Dave D-Tech when you see him. Our vice president over here, Dick Lowenstein. Our webmaster, Mr. Jack Kruse. Our Hall of Fame coordinator, where are you at, Cuz?
He's with Dave.
He's with Dave. And that would be Dane Kutcher. And then I have the honor of being your president. Today, we get to recognize some outstanding individuals, but before we start, before we start with the presentations for the Hall of Fame, I do want to bring forth a person who's worked very hard with the banners downstairs. And for those of you that want to donate, we're still taking money. We take credit cards and checks. Just give us a slip as well so we make sure we get your credit. Mr. Ray Anthony, the floor is yours for a special presentation.
I'll start by saying thanks to everybody for helping out with that banner project. That's why we're here. We're here today to honor the Vince Bertucci Award. Everybody knows Vince has been around wrestling for a amount of time. He was the guy that brought this state together. You know, Northeast used to call things one way, Southwest, Central, and all that. And then he started pulling us together as a state of Ohio wrestling official group. And he was the glue that brought us all together. This is our 3rd year. 3 years ago, the OWA allowed me to kick this award off and honor Vince. Vince is about 88 now. I just had him out the other day. He wanted him to be here, but he couldn't make it. But this year's recipient is Tony Campolo. Tony's from the Central region. He's been officiating probably about 45 plus years, coaching us for another 5-10 years. And you know, he's always out there helping young officials, even some of us older officials. He's coaching us along as an observer for our observation team around the state. He's been the rules interpreter here in Central Ohio for many years. And I'd like to bring Tony up at this time to say a few words. And then after Tony speaks, I'd like to bring the last 2 recipients up also. And I think one of the greatest honors we could have in our family of wrestling. Thank you.
So much more out of this sport every day with kids. Just tremendous. Friendships are made, relationships are made. We're going to keep giving this to them, don't quit tearing up. Thanks so much, guys. I love you all for sure.
Tony, stay up here. We'll talk about the shirt.
Well, we did. This last year, we go out around the state and give this award now. Hopefully, eventually, we'll get back here on the floor at the state tournament. But last year, we went to Lima, Ohio. This year, came down to Central District Banquet. But the plaque's pretty neat, and that's something they could put in their house. But we wanted to go a step further and give each one of these guys a shirt representing the Vince Bertucci Award. Vince, as you guys all know, was an artist in that. Vince designed a lot of our logos as this tournament progressed and started growing, and now it's sort of passed the torch to Steve Long. But we took Vince's work and got all the guys a shirt that they could probably wear in honor of Vince and respect to Vince. And at this time, the other two recipients would come up. Paul Basinger would come up, please. And Jim Hoteling. Just going to touch briefly. Jim Hoteling was our first recipient. We set the criteria and everything. Vince would come up with an idea, and Jim would have to get it done. Same with when we did work here for Dr. Maurer on the floor around the tournament. Dr. Maurer would come up with an idea, and make Jim get it done. So Jim was our first recipient, and obviously we were very proud of him and Tony, and then we have Paul. We just felt bad for Paul, you know, retired police officer and all that. He failed the fire test, so we still have to recognize him that. But you know, we're very fortunate. You know, Paul. You know, I think what we look at, Vince is like what's called my dad. You know, he's really done a lot for all of us in here. And as my buddy Paul would say, it's not the award, it's the person we're honoring. The teacher's bigger than life. So, again, proud of you guys, thank you. And please, you guys have nominations, please get them to us. Thank you.
Give Tony his bill.
That way, you guys can work the flags up so we can get on the website all together.
Give me a shirt.
Take away. I need a picture.
Make sure Tony gets
Right
it.
here, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Guys, look this way once. Tony.
Thank you, guys.
Congratulations, kid. Okay, well, those gentlemen make their way back. The next person I'll introduce will be the Hall of Fame coordinator. The presenters, we're going to ask that you come up front to speak. Whoever's the nominator for the actual application, you'll obviously go first for those who's never been here before. Mr. Kutcher, how do you want to do former Hall of Fame group? You want
Let's
to
ask them all to stand and introduce themselves if they would.
Right, if you're a Hall of Fame current member, please rise. One thing we want to hear is your name and your year, if you remember. We'll start over here with Mr. Saxton.
Larry Saxton.
What year?
Steve Warren, 1996. Steve Warren, 2011.
Paul Basher, 2013. Jeff Wu, 2018.
Montgomery, 2001.
So we done that 2008?
Guys, ready, 2017.
Jim Hoteling. My memory's pretty bad, maybe 2003, I don't know.
Gary Berkowitz, somewhere in the late 1990s.
Jack Beard, 1886.
You look good.
Greg Heininger, 2018.
Tom Rooney, I went in with Jim, I think it was 2006.
2003.
Tony, what year?
2010. Steve James, 2014.
Ray Anthony, 2006.
Dan Kutcher, last century.
Dick Wellington, I believe it was 99.
Jim Freeland, 1996.
Nevin Taylor, class of 2006. Mr. Kutcher, the floor is yours.
Thank you. One of the highlights to a lot of people is the Hall of Fame luncheon because this is where we get an opportunity to hear from the people that are being inducted. So we're going to start out in do this in alphabetical order, which will be Tom. So I'll introduce Ray Anthony. We'll introduce our first inductee. Ray.
I promised I was going to be nice. Tom wants to be a math major, count lights and from the gym, but I won't get into that. No, Tom is obviously Northeast Ohio. I've known Tom for probably 45 years or so. Tom's been a referee, a coach, tournament manager, tournament director, timer, announcer, you name it, he's did it. Up in Northeast Ohio, as long back as I can remember, he's always helped with the D3 sectionals, when it was at Brooklyn or Independence, and then the districts, we had Liberty Catholic and Garfield Heights and every place else, and everybody always drags Tom in to help. But Tom's the type of guy that would help anybody, any kid, any school and all that. Everybody said, hey, we got an event going on, we need somebody. He was president of the Greater Cleveland Coaches Association for years. He was a representative of the coaches in Northeast Ohio on the state board. Tom is the superintendent at the Cog Heights High School at this time. He's a graduate of the Ohio State University. And Tom even trusted me one day and hired me as a public safety instructor. That was the low part of his career. But, no, I mean, he's done so much of wrestling. We said here for an hour listing everything he's did. And everybody's helped in our sport. Whether it's what tournament on the mat, coaching, whatever. We had a few state champs. Those guys in football end up in the NFL and that. You know, so he's really been dedicated to helping people.
Thank you. First and foremost, I'm extremely humbled to be recognized by this group. I spent the first half of my adult life probably offending everybody in this room at one point in time or another. Trinetti's nodding his head. Guy tried to be nice to me earlier. I said, not now, guy. It's been 40 years of you yelling at me. Please don't try to be nice to me now. But I was real annoying as a head coach. There's no question about it. About 20 years into this racket, I became a school administrator, and it was, my days with coaching were done, and I was off for about a week before Ray started dragging me into tournaments and what have you. I take a look at this moment a little bit, and I'm going to use an analogy. I remember when Mike Webster was inducted into the Football Hall of Fame, and he had Terry Bradshaw do his induction, and he said, me giving the microphone to Terry Bradshaw is kind of like giving Visine to a peeping Tom. So by giving me a forum to speak here, it's a little bit overwhelming. I am a school superintendent. Steve Kish is in here. I was going to look to him for support because Lord knows, as a school superintendent, I can talk for an hour and say nothing, and at the end of it ask you to pass a levy. So the stories are what is important to me. Wrestling's been a part of my life since I was 10 years old. Tom Rooney and Nevin were teammates on Ohio State's rugby team. Rooney reminded me that the statute of limitations isn't up on some of the things that we did back then, so I can't tell those stories.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nevin's thanking me as well, too. But wrestling has always been about the people for me. You know, I went to my first wrestling camp, I think, when I was 10 or 11 years old, and Coach Corrigan from Norwalk and Tom Talbot from Huron were the coaches there. And then I kind of went through Dick Bonacci's wrestling camps, where Tommy Ellert was my first camp counselor, and we all know Tommy. And Tommy kind of took me under his wing as a kid, and then I became a head coach. And my first match as a head coach, lo and behold, Tom Ellert's my referee. So we get in the locker room beforehand, and Tom comes in and does the pre-match with our kids, and the next thing I know, Tom's giving a pep talk to my kids. I've known this guy since he was this big. You better get out there and wrestle your asses off for him tonight. He's worked hard. So we went out and promptly got beat. And I thank Tom for that. But wrestling for me has always been about the association that the coaches and officials have had. Ed Batanian was the director for the Northeast District Board for many, many years. And he was amazed that the coaches and officials in Northeast Ohio always got together. Our meetings were together. And I think it's what made Ohio wrestling so great, is that the wrestling coaches and the officials were always pulling in the same direction. You can't put basketball coaches and basketball officials in the same room. They want to kill each other. And I think that's been the strength of our sport, is that the officials, the coaches all want what's best for the sport. And wrestling's a very different sport I was a head football coach for a long time too. And if you go to a football clinic, they never tell you everything. They always think there's some great secret that they leave out. And there's not a wrestling coach or official that I would know that if you stopped them in the hallway and said, hey, show me that move your kid just hit, you'd be on the floor rolling around with them because he'd be showing it to you. Because they want to pass on what the sport's done. This sport has meant so much to me, the values about who I am, the strength and the determination, the family and the togetherness for what we've done in wrestling. There's so many people to thank for that. Al Carroll, Papa Smurf. Al's been gone for a few years. I was Al's chauffeur for many years, back and forth to Coaches Association meetings. And just the drives back and forth to talk to Al and to learn from Al and what had happened in our sport. Al also is the only official that ever threw me out of meet. I was actually sitting in the stands as an assistant coach. The guy next to me was yelling. Al didn't stop the match. He turned around and pointed to me. He said, "You're out." The kids were still wrestling. I got up and left. He turned around and called a pin, and the match was over. So it's been a great ride for me. There's just so many people to thank, and a lot of those people are in this room. As I said, I was out of coaching for about a hot minute when I became an administrator, and Ray gave me a call and said, "Hey, we got this little tournament over here. Why don't you come and help with it?" So I go from working a table to running weigh-ins. The next thing I know, I'm sitting at the head table. The next thing I know, I'm running seat meetings at the sectionals, at the Columbia Invitational, at the Redskin Invitational, and any place anybody would have me. And a couple years ago, I said, I'm going to back out a little bit. Sectionals were coming up. Kelly calls me and says, "Hey, I need you at the sectionals." So he knew I couldn't say no to him. And went out and helped. It's been a labor of love for me. I love it. Down here at the state meet, I got pushed back in the wrestling room a little bit this year. We had some tragedy with our coaching staff. I found the old pair of wrestling shoes that I got in the room a little bit this year with some great kids, and just everything that comes out of the sport, and the people in this room are so important to me. Just very, very humbled by the honor, and thanks to the association, thanks to the recognition, and continue to do what you do, because Ohio's the #1 wrestling state in the United States because of the people sitting in this room. Not only because of what you do out there, because of what you do for the sport. You pay it forward, you make sure that we stay in front. The guys like Tony Campolo and Paul Basinger and Jim Hotelling and everybody in the room, I just can't thank you enough. So thank you much.
Don't applaud yet. You got someone that you better recognize.
And my lovely wife.
That's coming.
That's a short story. I got remarried 8 years ago. I never told her about what I did in wrestling, and she came to find out. I think the over-under on number of eye rolls was 7 for this talk. I think she's up around 10 or 15. So Lisa, thanks for allowing me to go out and play every weekend with my friends. So.
Our next introducer, speaker, is somebody that shouldn't be foreign to any of you. This guy worked 13 straight NCAA Division I finals, one of the top officials in the country, and here to present our next award winner, our next inductee is Bob Triano.
I'm going to read this. Probably most of the time I'm not going to look up. I will tell you that Fred wrote this. And we'll start off at that point. One good thing about Fred, he wrestled for a hell of a team at a hell of a school. And I will put the plug in for St. Francis and Sales. Other than that, he might not have come out. What did you say? I thought it was reading. But Fred, he has 30 years of experience. He has a strong background as a wrestling referee at both the high school and the collegiate levels. He's He's a member of the, and I don't know what these all stand for, so you all have to, CDWOA, NWOA. He's the president and founder of the MSWOA, the largest signing group in the United States. Fred also was a field official. How do you do that? Until he retired from FSGR in 2007. He's a certified Ohio High School Athletic Association wrestling instructor. He's taught 2 classes every year for the past 25 years, helping the young officials, including one weekend that he calls Are You a Duck? Fred is a moderator on several popular wrestling discussion forums. He has written numerous papers and articles on the mechanics of officiating, as well as the personal inside stories to many. He has written many papers on mechanics. Preferably, I think, Stalin is the most dominant. That went coming first, you said? No, I lost my spot. Fred's in-depth experience encompasses both scholastic and collegiate levels, having worked with prestigious NWCA, the National Duels in the Midlands, Cliff Keen Las Vegas tournament, plus many top-level D1 duel matches. Fred has worked with Big Ten, the MAC, the OAC, GLIAC. His postseason work has included 11 Ohio High School State Wrestling tournaments, Senior Nationals. He's at NWCA Division I National Duels, 8 NCAA Nationals, 5 NAIA Nationals, 26 National Championships, which include, where do I get my breath? To go on. Fred also serves as an evaluator at the Senior Nationals, the National Duels, numerous NCAA events, and has served as the evaluator at the Utah State Wrestling Tournament. Fred is currently the wrestling assigner and coordinator for the 33-team OCC Conference. Fred and his wife reside in Dublin, Ohio, and I'm sure he'll remember to introduce his family, since he had a lead-in. Welcome, Fred Feeney.
Well, number one, I'm humbled to be here. Just humbled. It's just humbling to me. I wanted to talk a little bit how I got into officiating. And I got into officiating because of Bob Triano. When I wrestled at Sales, Red Harold and Don Harold were there, and they were big freestyle and Greco guys, and they talked about the art of officiating and refereeing, and I had decided I wanted to do that. To make the team at DeSales my freshman year, I had to wrestle a guy named Pat Pickle. And Pat Pickle's the dad of Luke Pickle, who played here and coached. And I had a fireman's carry, that's about all I had. And I hit fireman's carry, and I had a hat, and I was pinning Mr. Pickle. And he whispered in my ear, I'm going to kick your ass outside when we're done here. And he did. I pinned him, and I got the spot. We became friends. But Pat Pickle came into my life later on when I saw him one night at a bar, and he goes, you should come into officiating. There's a meeting tomorrow night at the Ohio School for the Blind. So I did, and I went to that meeting, and I saw a bunch of guys. Some are still in this room. I think Rudy was there back in those days. And I decided, you know what, I'm going to do this. I'm going to officiate. The problem is I was deep into my drinking and my drug using, and some little thing inside me said, I don't think this would be a good thing right now. So I didn't do that. I waited until I got sober 4 years before I started officiating. And I did that because of Steve James, wherever Steve James is, around here somewhere.
Behind the pole.
And I was coaching football down in Grove City, and he goes, hey, come with me to a wrestling meeting. And I went, all right. So I did, and it was like, wow, I can do this. So he introduced me to Dan. And I took Dan's class. And when I was in Dan's class, I met Scotty Myers. And Scotty and I followed Dan around like puppies. Wherever we went, he just said, we're going here, okay, we're going. And the one thing, two things he said to me right off the bat was never ask why we're going somewhere, and never ask how much money it is, just go. And Bob was the same way. Bob would call me up and goes, come on, I'm gonna pick you up for a tournament, for a match. And it'd be deep Pennsylvania somewhere, you know, in the snow. And, but that's just what you get. Dan and Bob both believed in mechanics. And both of them said to me, and Scotty back in the day, if you're gonna do this right. Learn your mechanics. It's all about mechanics. It's all about mechanics and all about mechanics. So we had a lot of fun. There are stories I talked about, I can't even talk about yet. But we had fun. Scotty and I went to places that I got moved up pretty quick. I had the state tournament my 5th year. And that was, it was at Wright State University. And I got there because my first year of officiating, after I would go to do a middle school, I would go to his house with the VHS tape and we'd put it in. And we would look at it bit by bit by bit. And he goes, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. Hey, write this down. So I had notes and I had a notepad. And I teach in class today, have a notepad. Write this crap down so you don't forget it. Because the reason he wanted me to write it down, so I read it, but also I come back the next week and put it in, and he go, whoa, stop. I told you to stop doing that last week. Why are you doing that now? No, go home. So he'd send me home. And it was until, that's how I got better. Okay, he knew as a teacher and as wrestling coach at the sales, the only way he could motivate me was kick my butt. And that's how he motivated me, and that's how I learned mechanics. So in college, and it wasn't even college yet, it was just high school. Mechanics, 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 same way we did in country. It was just all about mechanics. So you gotta know the rule book, but you gotta know mechanics. I believe if you're down there on that floor, as long as, if you look good, you're gonna sell that call. You know how to sell that call. But it's all, if you don't have good mechanics, you can know that rule book better than anybody, you're in trouble. So, let me see, Bob lost place, I lost place. Dan asked me my second year to come in and help him teach his class. And I really liked that. And I helped Dan for, I don't know, 10 years or something, and then Dan retired, and then I took it over. And I really enjoyed, I became the instructor for the CDWA, the mechanics guy, and I really enjoyed teaching. Because all I did was pass on what this man and that man taught me. One of the things that man taught me, and we talked about it today, is I was doing my first college tournament, and he would not let me do college until I did my first state tournament, which was interesting. So it was my 5th year, and I'm going to college tournament. He walks up to me, and he goes, what's that? I go, it's sweat. He goes, stop. And he walks away. And Chris Ford, who was an official at the time and coached here at Ohio State, he looked at me, he goes, I think he means it. So all he wanted me to do was stop being a crazy guy on the mat and, you know, just know where I'm supposed to be and move in the right position. So today, I do the same thing. I go up to a guy and I go, what's that? Stop it, stop it. You know, just know where you need to be. So, the Bo run, I don't think Bo's here anymore. So, I called Bo one time, and I've been teaching the class for a while, and I said, hey, I'm teaching 8 weeks. Every Monday I'm teaching a class. I need to condense this. So he let me condense it to a 1 weekend class. So everybody, I send the books out about a month out, and everybody comes in on a Friday and a Saturday, and it's all day long, and we tied it into the autism tournament, and then they go officiate the autism tournament. And this year, right now, this class coming up, right now there's 20 in the class. I hope to get 40 in the class. Because I reached out to all the OCC teams that I assigned for, and I said, this is the next group of officials. These guys have to learn to officiate. So Ohio High School knocked the fee down to $35. And I think after this tournament, we're going to get more of it. So you need to go back, in your community, in your group, wherever you come from, and get guys to come out. It's got to be the young guys. It's got to be the high school kids that are coming up and wrestling. They're going to turn out to be a better wrestler if they know. We've got Cole Haverdale, which many of you know. He did his first high school tournament a couple of weeks ago. He's 17. Bo wouldn't let him do it, but they needed him and they let him do it. So next year, I've already got him signed high school matches. This guy is phenomenal. So there are other people out there that are phenomenal. We need them started at 14, 15, and 16. And they're going to have 30 years in my, they just need the mat time. So they're going to get their butts beat a little bit because they are young. And I told Cole, I said, you can't get rid of your baby face, experience, but it's how you make your call and your mechanics and how you sell that call. So we need more of that. So you need to go back to your associations and figure out a way to get more in. Figure out to do one weekend classes. I called Bo one time this year and I said, Bo, I need to do a hybrid class. And Bo said, what's that? Oh, never mind, I don't want to know. He goes, just do what you need to do. And I did it, and we did it this year. We got 3 more guys in. And we needed those 3 guys. We were hurting for guys in the Central District. Our numbers dropped huge this year and last year. We're losing people. We're losing people because of age. I retired this year at the district last weekend after 30 years. I've had enough. Not enough. I just didn't know when's a good time to retire. Why not now? It's 30, it's a good time to walk off the mat, do what I'm doing with teaching, do what I'm doing with the signing. And for me, it's been a great career. My family's here, my kids are here. When I first started doing this, Andrea, my wife at the time, said, hey, you need to go do what you need to do to get good. So go do that. And I did that. And we were talking earlier, these 2 here were in the car with me coming home from I think it was my first middle school match at Park Street. When I remember this kid bleeding. And it was like, all right, whatever happened. So we got in the car, my wife or the kids said to me, why did you let those kids, slap each other and punch each other in the face? I said, I never saw it. Well, that's where the blood came from. I had no idea they did that. So I don't know what I was looking at, but I can remember doing middle school thinking this is the best thing in the world. And then I started doing JV and I thought that's the best thing in the world. Then I started doing high school and I thought that's the best thing in the world. Then I did the state tournament, I thought that was the best thing in the world. Then I started doing some college, I thought that was the best thing in the world. The best thing in the world was the relationships with these guys in the red and the black and white and now the gray. That was the fun stuff. We have more stories. We were just talking back there with Rooney about, wouldn't it be great to write a book? How thick would that book be of all the stories that we have in these brains and the stuff we've done over the years? I'm going to work on that. I think it'd be a great story. So anyway, but I want to thank my kids for all the stuff that I missed, for them growing up on weekends. I was gone a lot. My wife Andrea had passed away. I got remarried. My wife Marge is here, and she had no idea. She went to a match at Ohio State here. I think it was Minnesota. And she's sitting up there, and somebody's called my name out, called me an MFer. Hey, Feeney, you're an MFer. And she left in tears. She never came back to another match. But coming home from matches, so say, hey, how'd it go? And I say the same thing. Somebody won, somebody lost. That's all we do. So anyway, I got more crap written down here, but I don't think it's important. I just take it back with you. We need more officials, right? There's a bunch of old people in here, man. There's a lot of gray hair in this room, and we need younger people to come up. It takes time. At DeSales right now, they're rebuilding. It's going to take a decade for them to rebuild. And just throw a thing out about Mark Zimmer. If you read that article in the Dispatch yesterday about Mark Zimmer, the first four-time champion there, he battled ALS, so keep him in your prayers too. So anyway, go back, find new officials, be nice to the ones that are out there, and I think everybody who's had anything to do with my career, there's been a lot of people, and I'm probably not thanked enough people in my career at the, you know, all the way through my career, but, you know, I thank you now, so take it back.
Dan, you're up.
Afternoon. I'm Dan Roberts, retired superintendent of Miami Trace Schools, and before I start, I'd like to congratulate all the current and former inductees into the Ohio Wrestling Officials Association. Coming to an event at the Schott, a wrestling event, and having every single official honored and praised and clapped for, that's pretty cool. Real cool. My dad took me in 1968 to my first state wrestling tournament. I missed 2 in college, and one just couldn't make it, but you are at a great event. It's my honor to present a good friend, Robert Haynes, into induction here. We have known each other since 1983, but we met each other in 1981, and I'll explain that in a moment. Robert, his wife Lisa is here today. His high school wrestling coach, Bob Mowry, is here. They are the parents of 3 children and 4 grandchildren. By trade, Robert Haynes is a blacksmith. He is a farrier of standard bred horses, and he's done that since 1983 at the Fayette County Fairgrounds. I met Robert in 1981 when I was the very first year head wrestling coach at Greenfield McLean High School. He was one of the stars of the Miami Trace wrestling team. I had 12 kids on the McLean team, and I had 2 that could compete. And darn it, if one of those wrestled Robert Haynes twice that year, and Robert came from behind and pinned him both times. And he always wore this green towel around his neck before and after matches. And I didn't like that cocky, arrogant kid who kept pinning my best kid. But after 2 years at McLean, I came to Miami Trace, and lo and behold, Bob Mowry had hired this cocky, arrogant young kid named Robert Haynes to coach the junior high. Well, I soon found out that his competitive spirit, his love of sport, and just his personality were well suited to be good friends. And we've been best friends for many years. Robert coached junior high, coached some varsity level, had a lot of success as a coach even. He had coached several league, sectional champions, some district runner-ups teams-wise, losing only to Claymont when we went east, or coming back out to the southwest to Graham. But he got into officiating, and he's done something that's very, I think, rare and unique. He is one of, I think, few people who competed at St. John's in the state championships at 132 pounds for Miami Trace. Years later, he coached at the Nutter Center, an undefeated state champion in '91, and then in 2006, refereed a state championships right here at the Schottenstein Center. I think that's quite an accomplishment for someone. I had asked Robert when I talked to him, and he asked me to present to him, what was your favorite? Was it the coaching? Was it the officiating? Was it the wrestling? And he said, by far the hardest was the coaching, because you just don't have control of the match. It's up to the wrestler. By far the easiest was that of officiating, because when you officiate a match, it's no different from the first round of any tournament to refereeing the finals of a state tournament. If you take the emotion out of it, the calls are fairly easy to make and cut and dry. I sat last night at the semifinals beside some parents. I wish I would have knew that. If you take the emotion out of the call, it's pretty much cut and dry. But it's their son, and they were very excited about it. Robert has officiated, he officiated 25 years at the McDonald's Miami Trace Wrestling Tournament, numerous sectional, league, district tournaments in Division 2 and 3, 2 state championships here at the Schottenstein Center. He was a highly sought official in the Southwest area, and he was that way because he was a great team player. Whether he was the lead official or one of the team members, he was always a great asset to the crew. His integrity and his desire to do well and do an excellent job, and his character about wanting to do and make the right call are something that's helped earn him in position into this Hall of Fame. A key aspect I've always felt of Robert's skill as an official, he had a real big desire to seek advice and input. Whether it was from his peers or was from me personally, he acted upon those suggestions for improvement. One time I had to tell him something that my father taught me. My dad was an official, never for wrestling, but for many sports at a fairly high level. And I questioned a call of my father one time and said, Dan, go check the scorebook and see what the call was. You'll know that I was right. And I told Robert that, and you know, great officials They have a tremendous level of confidence, and I've heard today also about how they sell the call, how you present the call, and how important that was. And Robert Haynes embodied that. Again, my honor on behalf of our school district and behalf of all your friends and family, congratulations, Robert.
That's one of the reasons I had Dan present me. He's a very polished speaker. Like he said, I've worked by myself for forces who I can just beat on if they don't behave. I don't have to do much talking, but I just first of all want to thank some people, my wife and family, obviously my wife Lisa's there with me tonight. Thank you. My support group, Dan and Bob. I thought as an official, you always, not only did I want opinions of other officials, I wanted opinions of ex-coaches, ex-tournament managers, because there's always a different perspective from their side. Like a tournament manager, their preferences and more concerns about being there on time, helping weigh-ins, and things that's important to them is not always what's important to coaches. So that's always been a strong fruit. I appreciate visiting with other people and giving me my first tournament with Lewis Guy Trinetti. I learned more in 3 days, and I had that probably 10 years. Thanks. Jack Beard, Scotty Myers all helped me along the way. I appreciate it. Been Bloom's down with districts with him, so it's all been a great ride. It's getting late. We're getting ready for some great finals here, so I'm not going to speak a whole long time. I think I remembered everything. And one thing I do believe, it's a really, I always thought what I liked about officiating, I thought was the better you do your job, the less attention you got. So if you want your name to be known when you're a real young official, screw something up. You do a really good job for a long time, you'll hear coaches say, I don't know his name, but he comes from the southeast, he's bald, he's tall, he's whatever. They will know you, but they won't be able to know your name if you do a good job. So when you receive an honor like this, where people do recognize you, it's just very humbling and honored, and I'm proud of that. Thank you.
Over the years, I've looked at an awful lot of criteria for the Hall of Fame credentials, and there is nobody that has credentials as a wrestler, a coach,
Coach,
an
that's in my
official.
speech. That's in my speech.
Okay. Anyway, to present our next guy, I just want to say how much this guy has meant to the Central District and the state of Ohio, but I don't mean the state of Misunderstood.
Please go ahead. Today, it's my honor to recognize an individual that has shown us character, integrity, leadership, shown us the fact it's not a bad word to say he's a friend of mine. Educator, retired at 30 years, known, recognized at his local, county, and state level for his educational background and accomplishments. Recognized as a coach for wrestling, went to refereeing after being a wrestler, then went to coaching because they needed one at the local school. Got recognized as a Coach of the Year award. Then turned around and said, you know what, I really want to be where I can make a difference. Jack left the coaching, went back to refereeing, had a chance to move up through the ranks, developed the Ohio High School Wrestling Association website. He provides the hands-on for new guys. He gives time, he gives love. He's got 2 excellent young ladies, which would make great referees. I have heard them call matches from the side, and I've actually heard them comment on the referees' slow, flat movements. And I'd appreciate if you hadn't said it so loud about me when I was working the match. He shows us why we have a Hall of Fame. He doesn't give you just one side of the Hall of Fame. He gives you all 4 quarters of the room. Referee for over 30 years. Educator for over 30 years, wrestler in high school, coach for 12 years. Ladies and gentlemen, if we don't recognize these kind of people at Hall of Fame, we missed the bullet. Now, that's the political side of my presentation with Mr. Jack Kruse. Mr. Rooney, you have the B side, and this is not the Curly Moe and Joe, although I do have the curly part. You forgot the other 2. But we never do anything different from the standpoint of you might get Mutt and Jeff together, but the one thing I can tell you is if you want to see the colorful side of Jack Kruse, he'll tell you because he's always been a gentleman. He's with me, ladies, you tell your mom that. Don't forget you got to buy me a beer.
So the personal side, actually with every one of you here in the room, you have affected other people's lives, hundreds of their lives, thousands of their lives. That's the part that he's out of his personal reflective. Jack got a job at Hannah Lincoln coaching for Steve Montgomery. My brother was on that team, and I was working out with him. Jack and I talked about, you know, hey, I think I can walk on Ohio State. I don't know, I'm not that good, blah, blah, blah. Oh, you should go to try it. Well, I tried it. Casey was a coach. That resulted in Casey made us take a class, so that's where I got my license. I met Dr. Mann, so I became a runner in the first tournament in 1976, and I've been back into the state tournament ever since. Because I had my license, I became a referee. I've now got 43 years in, and I've met all of you guys. And that's just my story. Jack's probably touched 1,000 people like that. Each one of those stories have funneled out, just as something each one of us have done. Every one of our Hall of Fame people today will have hundreds, if not thousands, of those contacts. Jack clearly has 2 children that have turned out much better than he did. And who still support him. That is the personal part that I want to share with you, and it's a part that I share with my friend, but it's a part that each one of you also have. And no, Tommy, I'm still not telling your stories yet. Mr. Jack Kruse, thank you.
Yeah, it is humbling. I thank the OWOA for this honor to be here and to be a part of this organization. It's quite a group. I thank my daughters, my wife for the time that they've given to make time, share my time with you. This group reflects our investment. Fred just made the greatest point of all. Most of what he said was about making things better. He wants more officials. He wants to pay forward. He's still paying forward. This is a second family. We have a family, and then we have another family. And that family's an enormous, God-given group of people that help strengthen us and support us and take us where we need to go. It's an amazing process. You know, I get hired through my wrestling. My brother was a state champ, urged me to go in, and then we go into college and get degrees, and then people like Steve Montgomery hire me. And his simple comment to me as I got hired was, "You have the talent as a wrestler to make the team better, but I'll teach you how to be a coach." He taught me how to be a coach. He mentored me to be a coach. And as he retired, I watched him become an official. And I saw what it was like to be an official too. And that's why I wanted to go. So all of us have mentors that take us to that next level. I call them giants in our lives. They're giant people. And they lift us up. They protect us. And then somewhere along the line, guess what? We have to lift somebody else up and protect them and pay forward and continue to grow and pay forward to make other people strong. And so this family is amazing that way. You know, as Tom said, we did a lot of the state tournament. We would write team scores with chalk on a chalkboard. And we go all the way back in the mid-70s when we did that. It's a long tradition to be a part of what we do down here. I was a runner, and I'd take guys out of the bullpen, take them to the mats, and somebody would always say, "Oh, you're a runner." I said, "Do you know what that means?" do me. I walk to the entrance of the tunnel. I get to shake hands and say, congratulations on making it to the state tournament. And I tell the coach that, so that they know this site, this ground of excellence is a part of their life forever. That's what a runner does. They welcome, they ensure that those people know this is a special place. And then I got invited out to lunch one day with my first man. And that doesn't always go the way we want it, doesn't Tom?
We work through it.
Yeah. And Bruce says, hey, Jack, I'm having some trouble with the timers and scorers, and I'd like you to be a timer and scorer. And I said, nah, Bruce, no thanks. I'm enjoying what I do. Great, thanks, okay. We ate some lunch, and a few minutes later, Bruce goes, you know, I've been thinking that if we do this and this with the timers and scorers, and that'd work out great, wouldn't it, Jack? And I'm going, yeah, but I'm not going to do that. I do what I do. And a few minutes later, he said, Jack, what I want to do is I want to put you as a timer and scorer next year, and then we'll elevate you to be in charge. That's a stupid idea. I'm not doing it. Near the end of lunch then I said, well, if you really want to do it, the only way to do it is to just take somebody up there and say, he's retired, he's in charge next year. If you don't like that, you can leave. Any questions? He goes, great idea, thanks Jack, you're in charge. So, you know, Dr. Maurer has a way of making things happen. He has embraced this tournament and made it great. Whether it's the runners, the timers and scorers, the opportunity that I have to officiate at this event, it takes everyone, it takes a whole family to including the crazy parents up in the stands. But it's a real blessing. And it gives us what we have. I kind of have a second passion. My second passion, other than my family and wrestling, is education. As they say, I taught 38 years in school up to my very last day. And I've been an administrator now for 6 more years. Because education is where it's at. It's where we develop kids and where we make them what they are. Invest in our schools, invest in education, invest in growth and knowledge, including yours. And as Fred said, invest in our sport to make it better, not recruit more kids out there. It's a real blessing and honor to be a part of this association, and I thank you very much.
We have a couple of 3 other awards that we'd like to give out and recognize some people. So I'm going to ask our secretary, Dave Detek, to make the next presentation.
We had, over the last 2 years, 2 officials that were not here today, they couldn't make it, but we want to announce them and recognize them. They hit 50 years. How anybody does this for 50 years is beyond my imagination. Getting up and down off the mat, getting kicked in the face, catching wrestlers as they go off the mat. The wear and tear is sometimes unbelievable. And these 2 guys were 50 years in. And so, obviously, the Ohio High School Athletic Association has a meritorious award of recognition to each of them. The first one is Gregory West, and the other one was Lemoyne Carpenter. And on behalf of the OWOA, we will present them with a golden whistle for their 50 years of service. If you see them, and it's a great box. And if you run into each of them, if you know them or run into them, please congratulate them on putting in 50 years of dedicated service. We deeply appreciate it. Thank you.
We have one more award that we'd like to give to recognize. So I'm going to ask our Vice President, Dick Lowenstein, to make this presentation. Dick?
Thank you.
All of you in here know that in order to make these organizations run, in order to make these organizations work the way they do, and excel the way they do, we have to have leadership. Okay? There's a lot of leaders in this room, a lot of people that have stepped up, volunteered, provided their time, provided their energy, and so on. This is one of the only states in the United States that has an organized officials association statewide. We have 18 or 19 local associations. They're all members of the OWA, which is the Ohio Wrestling Officials Association. And it every 3 years we have a president, okay, and a board that's elected, and so on. And it takes a lot of work, a lot of energy, a lot of effort to make sure these organizations run. And it gives me pleasure and some sadness as well, okay, to see Nevin Taylor, our president, who stepped aside this year, okay, for some new leadership. And I just want to take this opportunity to present Nevin Taylor as an excellent president of our association, and just our warmest wishes and thanks. Okay, thank you.
Before we dismiss, one of the things when you hit my classroom was always stand up, speak up, say it, shut up, and sit. To the award winners, thank you for speaking up. Make sure that you don't forget you can still speak up. We need live bodies. Help us recruit. If you see that mom or dad or that brother or sister or that high school senior, we need officials. As an assigner, it's a valuable trait. Now it's time for me to get to that last part. Shut up and sit. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me all the honor and pride to present our new president for closing remarks. Russ, come on down front. You got to get used to this. Ladies and gentlemen, he's going to step in. He's going to take us to the next generation. Your president, Russ.
Thank you, and once again, I want to thank Nevin Taylor for his leadership over the last several years in several positions he served. For everybody here who is honored today, thank you so much for everything you've done. For all the past recipients of Hall of Fame awards, you are the ones who have laid the groundwork. You are the ones who have stepped up. You've shown the leadership. You've shown the path. You've laid the groundwork for officials to follow, and that's what we're all striving to do. This is a great organization. We're going to continue to take it and continue to make this a great organization. I want to thank you all. Congratulations to the Hall of Fame honorees, to the Vince Bertucci Award winners, Jim Hotel.
Just a quick announcement. I don't know how many of you are aware of this, but this is Bruce Mauer's 40th state tournament as manager. So you see him around on the floor there. You might want to congratulate him. 40 years.
With that, again, thank you all for being here. Congratulations to everyone who's been honored this evening, and let's go watch some great finals.